you're dressed, shoes on, bag ready, mentally rehearsing the small talk, and then your phone buzzes. Hey, something came up. Can we cancel? You read it once, then again, and before you can stop yourself, a quiet feeling spreads through your chest. Relief, not disappointment, not frustration, relief. A soft exhale you didn't realize you were holding. And immediately after that relief comes something else. A flicker of guilt. Why am I happy this got canceled? What kind of person feels this way? If that moment feels familiar, maybe a little too familiar, this isn't about being lazy, antisocial, or secretly hating people. There's something much more interesting going on beneath the surface. Because the psychology of people who feel relief when plans get canceled isn't about avoidance. It's about how your mind manages energy, expectations, and emotional safety. And once you see it, you start recognizing it everywhere. Maybe in yourself, maybe in someone you know, maybe in that version of you that quietly smiles when the calendar suddenly opens up. Let's talk about why. Picture this. You agreed to meet someone days ago. At the time, it sounded fine, even enjoyable. But as the day approaches, a subtle pressure builds. You start imagining the logistics, the time commitment, the version of yourself you'll have to perform. You're not dreading the person, you're dreading the expenditure. Then the cancellation happens, and it feels like being let off the hook. This reaction shows up in several different psychological profiles. They look similar on the surface, but the reasons underneath are very different. There's one group for whom relief comes from mental overstimulation. Imagine someone sitting at home, planning to go out later. Their body is still, but their mind is already running simulations. What will I talk about? Will it be awkward? How long will this last? What if I want to leave early? For these people, social plans don't exist only in the moment. They exist in the anticipation. And anticipation drains energy. The relief they feel when plans are canceled isn't about escaping the event. It's about escaping the mental load of preparing for it. Their brain finally gets to shut off the background noise. If you're like this, you may notice something. Once plans are canceled, your mood lifts immediately. You don't replace the plan with something else. You just feel lighter, calmer, more present. That's not avoidance, that's nervous system regulation. Then there's another type. This one's subtler. These are people who are highly attuned to expectations. Not just social ones, but internal ones. They don't just plan to show up, they plan to show up well. Be engaged, be interesting, be emotionally available. Don't be boring, don't be quiet, don't be off. For them, social plans come with an unspoken contract. I owe a version of myself. So when plans get canceled, the relief isn't about staying home. It's about being released from a role. They don't have to manage impressions. They don't have to monitor their tone. They don't have to be on. If this is you, you might notice you enjoy people deeply, but in short, intentional doses. Long or open-ended plans feel heavier, not because you dislike them, but because you take them seriously. Cancellation feels like permission to be unobserved again. Another profile feels relief for a completely different reason. These are people who struggle with transitions, going from alone to social, from quiet to noise, from internal to external. The event itself might be fine, even enjoyable once it starts, but the shift into it is exhausting. They're comfortable in their internal world thoughts, routines, familiar rhythms. Social plans interrupt that flow, not aggressively, just enough to feel jarring. So when plans get canceled, their system relaxes because the transition never happens. No emotional gear shift, no bracing for impact, no reorientation, just continuity. If you recognize yourself here, you might notice something else. You rarely regret canceled plans afterward. You don't sit around wishing you'd gone. The relief lingers. That tells you something important. The cost wasn't imaginary. But there's a fourth type that often surprises people. This one involves autonomy. Some people feel relief when plans are canceled because unconsciously agreeing to plans felt like giving something up. Time, freedom, control over their own rhythm. Not because the other person is demanding, but because commitment itself feels constricting. These people often say yes quickly, out of politeness or optimism. But later, a quiet resentment appears. Why did I agree to this? When the plan gets canceled, relief floods in because their autonomy is restored. They didn't have to say no. They didn't have to disappoint anyone. They didn't have to choose themselves out loud. The cancellation did it for them. This doesn't mean they're selfish. It means they haven't fully learned how to protect their time without guilt. Relief becomes the signal. And then there's the most misunderstood group of all. People who feel relief when plans are canceled because they're deeply content alone. Not lonely, not isolated, content. They enjoy social connection, but they don't rely on it to feel complete. Their inner life is rich, quiet, self-sustaining. When plans get canceled, it doesn't feel like loss. It feels like a return to something nourishing. Time to think, time to rest, time to exist without friction. For them, solitude isn't absence, it's presence. And society doesn't always know what to do with that. We're taught that wanting plans canceled means something is wrong, that enthusiasm equals health, that being busy equals fulfillment. So when relief appears, it clashes with the story we've been told. But here's the twist. Feeling relief when plans get canceled often means you were overriding a signal earlier. A signal that said, I'm already full. I need less stimulation. I need more control over my time. I need rest, not more connection. Relief is the body correcting the mind. It's the nervous system saying, thank you. The problem isn't the relief. The problem is that the relief only comes after something external intervenes. If you always need plans to be canceled to feel okay, it might be time to look at how often you say yes out of habit instead of alignment. Not to change who you are, but to listen more closely. So the next time a plan gets canceled and you feel that quiet exhale, don't judge it, notice it. Ask yourself, what exactly am I relieved about? The time, the energy, the expectations, the transition, the performance? Because your answer tells you something valuable about how your mind works and what it needs more of. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you know. Maybe it's a part of yourself you haven't fully acknowledged yet. So which version fits you best? And when was the last time you honored that need before the cancellation? If this landed somewhere personal, you're not alone. And if you want to explore more of these quiet, under-discussed patterns of human behavior, you know where to find this channel. Until then, pay attention to your relief. It's trying to tell you something. There's one more layer worth noticing, because relief doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It appears in contrast. You only feel relief when something was weighing on you. That weight might have been quiet, polite, barely noticeable, but it was there. And here's the uncomfortable part most people skip over. If canceled plans consistently feel better than completed ones, your schedule may be shaped more by expectation than desire. Not pressure from others necessarily. Sometimes it's pressure from an older version of you, the one who used to say yes more easily, the one who thought being available meant being good, the one who believed rest had to be earned. So when a plan disappears, the relief isn't just physical, it's moral. You feel allowed to stop. That's why the feeling can be strangely emotional, almost tender. Some people even feel a little sad with the relief. Not because they missed the plan, but because they realize how tired they've been. And that realization can sting. This is where many people misinterpret themselves. They assume the relief means they don't care enough about friendships, about opportunities, about life. But caring deeply and needing less stimulation are not opposites. In fact, many people who feel relief when plans are canceled are highly sensitive to meaning. They want interactions to feel intentional, not obligatory. When something becomes routine or expected, it loses its emotional charge and starts to feel draining. So relief becomes a filter. It separates what nourishes you from what merely fills time. If you pay attention, you might notice a pattern. Some cancellations feel neutral, others feel like a gift. That difference matters. It tells you which relationships energize you and which ones you're maintaining out of momentum. And here's a gentle reframe that often changes everything. Relief doesn't mean you chose wrong, it means you chose too early. You agreed before checking in with yourself, before measuring your energy, before considering the emotional cost. The relief is your internal feedback system catching up. Once you understand that, you can start doing something radical but simple. You can pause before committing. You can say things like, let me see how I'm feeling closer to that day. You can design plans with natural exits. You can stop overbooking your future self, not to withdraw from life, but to meet it on terms that don't require recovery afterward. Because the goal isn't to avoid plans. The goal is to stop needing their cancellation to feel okay. So if this topic stayed with you a little longer than expected, sit with it. Notice what came up. Notice where you felt seen and where you felt resistant. And if you want to keep exploring these quiet psychological patterns, the ones that don't shout for attention but shape how we live from the inside, this channel is built for that. Tell me in the comments what relief usually means for you. And until next time, listen closely to the feelings that arrive when nothing happens.